And so on Tuesday, what we had done is we focused on recapping terminology about expression. So we said what was a term. We spoke about what was a constant, what was a coefficient, what was, oh no, I didn't say a term. Yeah, what was an expression. We spoke about that. And then we also recapped like terms. So we did some examples, adding and subtracting like terms. Now we're going to start getting into our more complicated expressions. Uma, you're saying it has various answers, like a plant. Tall, a plant is not tall when it's young. A plant, when it grows, it's small, and then when it's old, it grows. So why is it a candle? It's a candle because when a candle is new, it's tall, and then as you burn it, there you go. Amokelo has given us a beautiful example. Okay, so now we are focusing on the maths of today. We are gonna look at more complicated expressions. And so we have these examples. Now, what you'll see here is these examples are going to be focusing on distribution. Now, if you don't remember what is distribution, that's okay. That's why we're revising. If you do remember what distribution is, please attempt the question and maybe help me to answer it. But when we deal with distribution, what we are really doing is we're saying, okay, we are going to take the number outside of my brackets and I'm going to multiply it to every term inside my brackets. And so over here, I have another number outside my brackets. And so I need to multiply it into every term inside my brackets. And so when we do this, it is going to be 3 times x. Can somebody tell me what is 3 times x? What do we get when we say 3 times x? And then, do we know what is 3 times 5? 3x is correct. Tando is giving us all the correct answers. And then over here we have -4 times 3x. Can somebody tell me what that would be? -12x. That's very well done, you guys. Now, if you're asking how did we do this, remember, whenever we're dealing with multiplication or division, we can apply this SNV rule. And the SNV rule says we multiply our signs first, then we multiply the numbers, then we multiply our variables. And when we combine all of those together, it gives us what the answer is. So here our signs, if we multiplied our signs first, it was a negative times a positive. So I knew that gives me a negative. To multiply the numbers, it was 4 times 3, which was going to be 12. And then the variables, there was no multiplication of variables. It was just the x left over. And so when we combined all of that, that's how we got -12x. Cool. So that's that. And then -4 times -7. Tando is correct over there. It is 28. How did we get 28? Well, it was a -4 times -7. It was 7, right? Yes. And so it's a negative times a negative, which means my answer is going to be positive. And then 4 times 7 is 28. So that's that. And so we have a positive 28 over there. Can anybody tell me what do I do now? I saw a hand go up. I think that was Itandile, yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Ma'am, after that we are doing like terms where we say positive 3x and -12x. Then we have the two terms, which is 15 and positive 15 and positive 28,
Yep.
which those are terms.
Mm-hmm.
And then, ma'am, we say 3x
Mm-hmm.
minus 12x
Mm-hmm.
plus 15 plus 28.
So you want me to group them together?
Yes, ma'am, I think.
Yep, that's okay. Um, that's perfectly okay. Then what do we do
And
now?
then, and then, ma'am, we're gonna get our answer, which for the first term is gonna be negative 9, no?
Yes, that is very good. Negative
Negative 9
9x.
x,
And I'm just gonna
and
stop you there
then
super quickly, Tandile. I just want to explain how we got this. So if you're like, how did we say 3 minus 12 gives us negative 9? Remember, you always gonna want to do your timeline when you are struggling with these sort of integer questions where you don't know how to, minus and deal with the negative numbers. We start at 3 over here, and then we go backwards. 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and -10. And what we did was we started at 3, we had 3x, and then we had to minus 12. And remember, when you are subtracting, you go to the left on your number line. When you're adding, that's when you're going to go to the right. So because we were subtracting here, we started at 3 and we jumped 9, no, 12 spaces to the left. Okay? And that is then how Itandile gave us negative 9x. Thank you, Itandile. Carry on for me.
we say 15, positive 15 plus positive 28, which
Mm-hmm.
is 15 plus 28, which is going to be positive 43.
Very well done. And then anything after that?
No, ma'am, that is our final answer because we don't have a variable that's the same.
100%. There are no like terms here, which means this is our final answer. Okay. So that is that. This is then our final answer. Thank you, Itandile, for helping me answer that question.
It's my pleasure, ma'am.
And then show me some reactions. Either you can put an emoji in the chat or just use the reaction function. How are we feeling? I think I heard a hand. I don't see it up anymore. So if you do have a question, please do ask. Um, how many of us are there? 15 of us. Okay, cool. Mm, I see our friend again. Our friend who I don't know how to pronounce their name. Valibe? Valibe? Vali? Valibe? I'm probably saying it so wrong. I'm so sorry, but if you would just tell me, then I would know. But yes, if you have a question, please do ask. You can either raise your hand and unmute yourself or just put it in the chat. Oh, yay, we got a response. Happy to hear from you. Okay, cool. We are all okay then. I'm going to move on. I'm going to do this next question a little bit faster. Um, I think that's Bree that has a hand raised. Yes, Bree.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
About the no like terms thingy, can't we
Mhm.
just say -9 plus 43, which gave me 34, and then you just put the x?
No, because remember, we can only add and subtract like terms. And if I go back to Tuesday's lesson, what did we say? Where did we say? Here. When we dealt with like terms, these are terms where the variables and the exponents are the same. And so when we add or subtract, we can only add or subtract like terms. This is what we had said on Tuesday. And so if I go and look back at now today's lesson, well, these, do they have the same exponents and the same variables, Brie?
No, they don't.
No, they don't. So can we actually add and subtract them?
No.
No, because my rule is I can only add and subtract like terms. Happy?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Pleasure. Cool. So that's that. If anybody wants to help me with B, you are more than welcome to. I'm gonna get it started so long. Um, I heard a hand. I think that's Emihle. Yes, Emihle.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good, thanks, ma'am.
That is good.
So the for the for B, we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
say 6 times 5x,
Mm-hmm. Which gives me what?
which is 30x,
100%.
and then pl- um then the next answer is 6 times negative 12,
Mm-hmm.
which is negative 72,
Mm-hmm.
and then negative 9 times 2x is negative 18x,
100%.
and then negative 9 times negative 3 is
Mm-hmm.
positive 27.
Mm-hmm. Why was it a
And
positive?
because a negative times a negative is a positive, ma'am.
Very well done. What
So
next?
then, so then, ma'am, we're gonna look for the like terms, and so the like terms are 30x minus 18x,
Mm-hmm.
and then negative 72 plus 27.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then
So,
we're gonna, in brackets, it's gonna be 30x minus 18x,
okay, so you want brackets, that's okay. Mm-hmm.
which is going to be 12x,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
then and then and then in the next set of brackets, it's going to be negative 72 plus 27.
So, yes, negative 72 plus 27. Let me show you something why we want to avoid these brackets. If I just have brackets like this means I'm multiplying them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is not what we're actually doing. We're not multiplying because that means we're taking this bracket and multiplying it by this bracket, which that's not what we're doing. And then if we don't want to multiply it, it means we have to have a bracket. I mean, we have to have a sign in between here. And it can get a little bit confusing to say, well, am I minusing it? Am I adding it? So let's just avoid the brackets and let's not use them to confuse ourselves. All we do is we can just put them next to each other. Okay,
Yes,
so then the brackets doesn't confuse us with any multiplication, and it's 30x minus 18x did give us 12x. And then just next to it we have negative 72 plus 12, which gives me what?
it's plus 27, ma'am, not 12.
Oh yeah, thank you. I don't know where I got that from. Plus 27, which
Which is
gives me
going
what?
to be negative 45, ma'am.
Negative 45. Let me think about that. Negative 70 plus 20 is going to be negative 50. And then 2. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Anything else after this?
No, ma'am,
No.
because the variables are not the same.
100%. So sorry, that pen was very thick up there. And so what happened here is that there are no like terms. My only operation here is subtraction. When I do subtraction, I know I can't start applying exponent rules and all of that. So I can't do that. when I do subtraction, I know I can add and subtract like terms, but there are no like terms anymore here. And so when there are no like terms, it means I am at my final answer. Happy?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for answering. Um,
You're welcome, ma'am.
that was very well done. Um, oh, yes. Tando, you did tell me I wrote 12 instead of 27. Thank you. I didn't see that. Um, yes. Silly mistakes are so easy to make. And that's why when you write an exam, you have to be so focused because it's so easy to do something like what I just did, where in your mind you're thinking 12, but actually the question says 27, and then you write 12, and then your whole answer's wrong. So that's why I always tell my students is when you are done with an exam, if you have even 2 minutes of extra time, go and check your answers. And when I say check your answers, I don't mean like skim through your answers. No, I mean go and act as if you were redoing every single question. And then that will help you to see where you made mistakes. Um, just a tip for you guys to get um, the most for all of your exams and tests. Then we are looking at C. If we look at C, I know people tend to get confused with these. That was a hand, Itandile. You answering?
Yes, ma'am, I am answering.
There we go. Tell me what to do.
So, ma'am, I think I did the dumbest thing I ever did. But, ma'am, I
Mhm.
didn't start. I started where 4 minus 6 is. So, ma'am, and it got me -2, and then I bracketed a minus 2, and then I closed the bracket. And then after that, I distributed, which got me -2 plus 4. And I said that was my final answer,
Okay.
which is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I
which,
did.
which is wrong. And that's what I was explaining. It's so easy for you to say 4 minus 6 is 2 and then distribute the 2 in. But that's not how it works. And something else that can help you guys with this is remember when we spoke about expressions, we said the first thing that we needed to do is we needed to identify our terms. Itandile, how many terms are in this question?
Man, there's only one.
Mm-mm, no.
There's two. Doesn't Ma'am, doesn't the bracket contain, isn't a bracket just invisible and we just say it's only one term because,
Yes. But here's another minus, which means this is one term and this is another term.
okay.
So the first thing we do is identify the terms. The next thing we do is we have to simplify each term individually. So if you would recall this, we said once we identify the terms, we then have to go and simplify each term. And this, and I didn't spell simplify correctly, I have to simplify each term. Um, Yes. So because we are simplifying each term, then you can see there that means already I know I have to distribute first. I can't simplify 4, so 4 is just going to be carried down, and then I simplify my second term. You seeing that, Itandile?
Yes, ma'am.
So whichever way helped you to, sort of understand whether you say you have to do BOD mass first, and when you're dealing with getting rid of your brackets, you have to distribute to remove your brackets. Or you could think of it like this, and I think this is the better way to think of it, where you have to, when you're dealing with your expressions, you have to identify your terms. Once you know what each individual term is, then you have to simplify each one of those terms. And then the third thing that we did is then we added like terms. So those were our three steps when we dealt with expressions. And so let's do a new answer now, Itandile, knowing the correct method.
Ma'am, I can't see your screen. Thank
That
you.
is weird. Um, can anybody else not see my screen? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Guys, can you guys see my screen? Okay. Itandile, maybe try change your view settings.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I actually am logged into my account as well as Teacher Kirsty's, and I can see my screen on my own account. Um, Camofilo is helping you out in the chat. They're telling you
Oh,
to pin the screen. See if that will
okay.
help you.
Thank you.
Did that work?
It already pinned.
Oh, I'm not sure then. But you can see it now
Probably.
then, I'm assuming.
Yes, ma'am. I can see it now.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead with this question then.
So, ma'am, now I'm thinking we I should distribute
Mm-hmm.
-6 because
Mm-hmm.
it's closer to the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And so, ma'am, I'm gonna get. Can I please just ask a question? Do I
Yes?
say 4 again? Then I say -6a.
Yes.
Okay.
Because remember, we're simplifying
And then,
each
ma'am,
term, but 4 is a term on its own and it cannot be simplified anymore. So when a term can't be simplified anymore, you
yes, ma'am.
just bring it down in your next step. So we've brought down
Yes,
4
ma'am.
and now we're
Yes.
simplifying our next term.
And then, ma'am, we're gonna say -4 times no -6
Mm-hmm.
times -2, which is positive 12.
100%. And now what?
So, ma'am, we're gonna say -6a,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna say is 4 positive, ma'am?
Yes. If there's no sign, we always assume it's positive.
Then we say plus 4 plus 12.
Uh,
And then our next step is going to be -6a plus
mhm,
16.
plus 16. 100%. Thank you very much for that, Itandilian.
It's my pleasure, ma'am.
Okay, now what I want you guys to know is that you don't have to do this step. You don't have to do the step where you put it all next to each other. You can go straight from this step to this step. Putting all the like terms next to each other is not required. So even like over here, we didn't have to group it over here. Once I highlight it and once you guys get comfortable with it, you should be able to skip this. Oh, you should be able to skip this step over here where you can just go from doing your highlighting or whatever it is to going to this last step over here. So this middle step is not required. If it helps you, by all means include it, but it's not required. Okay, I don't remember why I put this here, but I'll just trust myself for the brain break. I can't remember what our brain break is. Then we're looking at D. So now, if I look at D, I remember me giving you guys a sort of different set of rules for fractions. When we have fractions, we always want to look, can I simplify? You first want to simplify your numerator, and then you need to check if you can simplify your ma'am. Would it be wrong if you wrote it like 16 minus 6a? No, it would not be wrong at all. But the general format that we use is, remember, like I said on Tuesday, 16 is a constant. So generally, if there are variables, we write the variables first and then the constant goes to the end. So it wouldn't be wrong if you swapped it, but this is the more generally accepted format. So when we have fractions, we are going to see first, can we simplify my numerator? Then can I simplify my denominator? And only once my numerator and my denominator are simplified as far as it can go, then I can go and do the actual division of the fraction. And so I see Uma putting some answers in the chat. Let me go ahead and see. 8x over 4, you can simplify and make it 2x. Okay, so there's two methods. There is two methods that we could use here, and it is this. So we can simplify our numerator. If we simplify our numerator, I see my numerator has like terms. It's 16x minus 8x, which means on the top I'm going to get 8x. And then once I get 8x on the top over there, it's still over 4. And then 8x divided by 4 is going to be 2x, just like Uma has said. The other way that you can do is when you don't know how to simplify your numerator and your denominator, you have to break up your fraction. So the only time you're going to break up your fraction is when you see this addition or subtraction in your numerator. And how you're going to break up your fraction is you're going to go 16x over 4 minus, because of this minus in the middle, minus 8x over 4. Then you can simplify each fraction now. 16x divided by 4 is going to be 4x minus 8x divided by 4 is going to be 2x. 4x minus 2x is going to give me 2x. So two different methods. You should know and understand both methods, but obviously the method you're going to use in a test will be the method that you understand the best. Yeah, so that is that. Almost time for our brain break. I do want to finish this question. So let me. Oh, I really don't want to reveal what our brain break is. So I don't even know as yet. Okay, there we go. Last question before the brain break. Actually, before I start with this last question, please react for me and let me know, do you understand this last question we did? Okay, I'm seeing some thumbs ups. Anybody confused? Itandile, you're thinking. What are you thinking? What's your question?
Ma'am, I'm confused whereby negative, like how did is ma'am, I'm confused by isn't 8x negative? So we minus 16 from 8, or it's just 8 that's negative.
So which method are you referring to? This one here where I put 8x?
Yes, ma'am. Isn't x negative?
Why do you think it's negative?
I'm just confused by when we're at the top, it says 16x minus 8x. Doesn't it mean like 8x is negative?
It does, but what I did in this step is I didn't just eliminate the 16x. No, I got 8x from saying 16 minus 8 gives me a positive 8. So it's not that I just sort of scribbled this out and then I should have been left with negative 8x over 4. No, I actually simplified my numerator over here and went 16x minus 8x, which gave me the positive 8x on the top there. You seeing that, Itadile?
Yes.
Understand now?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Cool. And then we have some exponents that we were dealing with here. So, can you guys tell me how many terms are in this question? How many terms do we have? Yes, Rory-san.
No, ma'am, they already gave the answer, so yeah.
Don't you want to help me answer this question?
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, I haven't heard you answer for a very long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's two terms. Rory-san, can you tell me which are the two terms? What's part of one term?
Ma'am, 7a to the power 2 is 1.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good job.
and since the brackets are like invisible, 2
Mm-hmm.
minus 3a, yeah, that's a whole, yeah.
Good job. And so if we follow our rules, we've identified our terms. Now we need to simplify each term individually. My question to you is, can I simplify 7a squared right now?
No, ma'am.
No, there's nothing more I can do with it. So I'm just going to bring it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, my next question is, now we're trying to simplify this blue term over here. What would you say we do first? Do I do my distribution first or do I do my exponent first?
Um, ma'am, distribution.
No.
Yes,
Let me tell you why. Um, your distribution is sort of attached to your bracket. Once you do distribution, your brackets are supposed to disappear. But now, if my
yes,
brackets
ma'am.
disappear, where is my exponent going to go to? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So, because my brackets make, no, because my distribution makes my brackets disappear, I can't do that just yet because there's still something here that's outside of the brackets attached to this term. So I need to get rid of that exponent first, then I can distribute. With me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So now I want you to tell me what is what would be the answer once we get rid of the square outside my brackets?
Uh, ma'am, like, can I say like 2 minus 3a to the power 2?
No, no. Because remember, when something is outside of a bracket, if I have negative 3 and it's squared, what that means is I have to go negative 3 times negative 3.
3.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If it was just something like negative 3 squared, what this means is that this squared is not applied to my negative. It's just applied to the 3, which means I'm going to bring down my negative and then 3 squared is going to be 9. So here, my answer would have been negative 9. But here, do you see it's a negative and a negative, which was going to give me a positive.
Yes, ma'am.
So in this case, we have now negative 3a inside my brackets, all squared. So in other words, it's actually going to be, let me it's actually going to be negative 3a times negative 3a. You with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Now, if we apply S and V to this, because it's multiplication, what's your answer? What's the answer that you get?
9a to the power 2.
9a squared. Good job. So what we did was we said signs, the positive and a positive, no, negative and a negative gave us a positive. We multiplied our numbers, which gave us 3 times 3, which was 9. And then we multiplied our variables, which was a times a. And because it's multiplication, I use my exponent rules, add my exponents of 1 and 1, and I got a squared. And that is how we got 9a squared. So that was very well done, Rory Sang. So I'm actually gonna put in negative 2 there and then plus, or we don't even have to put in the positive, but 9a squared. So now I have this. What next?
Ma'am, I think I'm find like terms and do the sum.
Okay, not quite yet. Do we have each term simplified as far as it can go?
9a square can get simplified, I guess. I don't know, ma'am.
So this whole term, Rory-san, we can still distribute, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This is multiplication over here, so I can distribute. So now when we distribute, it's going to be negative 2 times 9a squared, which gives you what, Rory-san?
18. 18a squared.
Positive 18?
Negative. Negative 18
Mhm.
squared.
Are you happy with how we've gotten this so far, Rory-san?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you there super quickly. Can I get a reaction from everybody in the chat? Do we understand how I've gotten here so far? I did my exponents first, then I distributed. Now my terms are as simplified as possible. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of positive reactions. Rory-san, tell me now, how do I finish off this question?
Ma'am, since they are like terms, I do the
Mm-hmm,
sum and the answer is gonna
mm-hmm.
be negative. It's gonna be ma'am, is it a negative 18 or is it just a minus?
It's a negative 18. I mean, you can look at it either way. You can say 7 minus 18, it's 7 and a negative 18. It's still going to give you the same answer, whichever way you look at it.
Ma'am, it's gonna be negative 11a squared. Or
Good
positive.
job.
Yes.
It is negative 11a squared. Very well done, Rory-san. Any questions on this?
No, ma'am.
Good. Happy? Thank you for answering with me.
Welcome.
Any questions in the chat from anybody? And then I'm going to do this quickly. No questions. We move on to our brain break. Ooh, a question. Oh no, are we answering my brain break? Okay, let me see. Who has their hand up? I can't see. Rory-san, yes, it's you again. You're answering.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. What is this phrase?
Mm. Ma'am, I don't understand the question.
Okay, so it's a picture, right? But it's sort of like imitating a phrase. So if you look at what Brie has said, Brie has told us it's the root of the problem, which is what the phrase is. Okay, because can you see it's like the square root of a problem? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was very well spotted, Brie. Rory-san, stay with me. You can answer the next one now that you know.
Water
Uh,
under the bridge.
yes, that was so fast. Oh my gosh. That was
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
well done. Thank you, Rory-san. If there's no hands, I'll just keep Rory-san here with me. There we go. We have other hands. Immediately, you get the next one. Ooh, I actually can't even remember what this one was. Immediately, do you know?
Ma'am, I'm guessing all aboard. That's what I'm guessing.
I also thought that. Where's my answer? Why did I erase the answers? Why would I do that? Hello? Answer? Okay. I have no answers, so we're just gonna hope that it's all aboard. Are there any other questions? I mean, answers in the chat? Nope. Immediately, we're gonna go with all aboard because I'd also say that. Uh, Next one. Just pretend we never saw it. Yeah. I know I had answers. I just don't know where they went. Bree, any idea?
Um, Ma'am, I'm guessing it's wave dancing.
Ooh, close, but Imitne has gotten it in the chat. Line dancing. That was fast. It took me long to get this one.
Line dancing.
Line dancing. Let's see. See, I
Okay,
do have
ma'am.
answers. Bree, you can say answer the next one.
Okay. Uh, what? Uh, I don't know, ma'am. Why is the
Lillian.
tree on the side upside down? Oh,
Listen
wait.
to what you just said. Lillian is shady, if I remember correctly.
But
Shady has gotten it correct.
Oh, it's seaside.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, ma'am. Yo. Can I go?
Yeah, you can. I don't see any other hands raised.
How many cats are there? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. Cats.
Let's see. Roy-san has raised his hand. Maybe he can help. Yes,
And
Roy-san, you have the answer.
Ma'am, I'm guessing, ma'am, I think it's red cat.
Mm-mm. Nope.
You.
Uma, it is not nine cut. It's not knife cut. It is not cutthroat. It's not nine red cut, Katie. Do you guys give up? You can also just let me know if you give up. The answer is, I think it was a cut above the wrist. Yep, because there's one cut that was above the rest of the cuts. A cut above the wrist. And I don't know if there's another one. There is another one. Roy-san, your hand is still up. Do you want to answer?
Ma'am, I think it's black shot.
No, it's not. It's not white shot either. Bree, your hand is up. Yes.
well, can I guess?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
probably doesn't make sense, but
Mm-hmm.
mugshot,
Nope. It's
white
not black
shot.
and white shot. Kaylee's onto something. She said dark shot. She's onto something. It's not dark shot, but it's not light shot. The straw is disintegrating. Not overshot, not shady shots. Oh, guys, I can't believe you're not getting it. I don't even have it because I thought it was easy. That means it is a shot in the dark. Evil shot. No, not evil shot. It's a shot in the dark. You know, that's the phrase. Do you guys not know these phrases? I mean, you're acting shocked in the chat, but I feel like that's a common phrase. It's a shot in the dark. And I think this is the last one, if I remember correctly. Anybody? A lot of people say that, Shady. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. It means you have no idea what you're doing, but you're just going to try anyways. I heard a hand. Whose hand was that? Bree, yes?
Well, I know that most of my answers are wrong, but I'd say this one is light-hearted,
Not light-hearted.
heavy-hearted.
No. Katie for the win in the chat, Bree. It is half-hearted.
What?
Because it's hearted, but there's only half of it, so it's half-hearted.
Oh, okay.
Thank you guys for participating. I actually got you guys. I'm proud of myself. Shady, I don't know where you're living. These are very common phrases. Yeah, that was it. I'm very proud of myself because I got you guys. I actually got you. Yes, Itandile.
Ma'am, we don't live under a rock, but ma'am, we don't say these things. We don't say these things. Probably y'all old people say them, but we don't say them. I just gotta say, we don't say these things. Shady, I agree with you. We don't say these things.
But I
Probably
mean,
y'all do because probably y'all old and they're old. So I come on. I've never heard a person say you are half-hearted. Come on. In what situation are you gonna say you half-hearted? Come
What?
on, ma'am.
It's a real thing. It's not a thing like people can be. It's a thing like when you do something, you do it half-heartedly. When you don't do it with your full potential, you don't do your best, and you say you're doing it half-heartedly.
No way, ma'am. Probably in your type of
No,
way, since you were like in the 80s or in the 90s, but we don't say these.
is there
I just
nobody in
gotta
the chat
say,
that's gonna defend me?
whoever agrees with ma'am, I don't know you. You've been like living under a rock. Please
Oh my
no. We
gosh.
don't say these things.
Okay, Itandile, I see how it is. It's fine. We'll just get back to maths. We are back to the maths, guys. We have some difficult ones. Um, you know, some difficult ones. If there's people who want to answer, that would be cool. Also, you guys are making me very old. I'm not that old. Um, Itandile, you helping me answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Where do I start? Firstly, my question to you: how many terms are in this thing?
3.
That's correct. Which three are terms?
Ma'am, I was guessing. How is it 3?
Tell me,
Because
Itandile,
I didn't count the X.
how do we know that a term is a term? How do we identify terms?
Is when there's a plus or a minus sign in front of them.
Yes, I suppose you could say that. It's a group of numbers and variables separated by pluses or minus. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna now go and circle our pluses and minuses. Okay. And once I do that, and remember inside the brackets, I don't care about those ones. The inside the bracket signs,
Yes, ma'am.
they're irrelevant to me. And so once I identify where my plus and minus signs are at, I can then see what are they separating. And these are now the three terms that they're separating. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
So even though this looks like it should be two terms, it's not because it's separated by a multiplication sign. And so that does not make it two different terms. It has to be separated by a plus or a minus for it to be two different terms. You with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Now let's go ahead and let's simplify each term. How are you going to simplify the first term?
So, ma'am, this time I'm gonna go with body mass,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna say, ma'am, 2 times 4a, which is 8 4 is 8a.
Mm-hmm.
Positive 2 times negative 7, which is negative 14a.
Mm-hmm.
And then, ma'am, I said 4a plus, and then I
You
did
have to say negative
the
4a.
multiplication part, which negative 4a, and then I
Mm-hmm.
said plus
Mm-hmm.
6, no,
Mm-hmm.
plus 9a,
Yes.
because 3 times 3, yes, which is 9a, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, we're done.
Nope.
How? All the variables are the same, though.
Exactly. So that means they're like terms, which means I can add them up.
Oh, ma'am, okay. 8 minus 14. 8
Mm-hmm.
minus 14 is negative. Oh my gosh, where's the calculator when you need it? Which is, ma'am, which is negative 6,
Mm-hmm.
6a. Then minus 4, which is 10,
Mm-hmm.
plus 9, which is negative 1a.
Correct. Correct. It is, and I don't have to write the one in because remember this is an invisible one. So that's negative 1a, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
try very hard to make my a's look like a's and not nines. There we go. Happy, Itandile?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Good. Thank you for answering. You've answered quite a lot. Can I get a last volunteer, someone who hasn't answered this lesson, to answer this last one before we close? B. It's not too difficult. Anybody? Oh, I see a hand. I think that's a hand. Whose hand is up? Let me check. Rory-san, yes.
May I let you try?
Okay. How many times are here, Rory-san?
B. Uh,
Yes, for B.
two.
2 terms. Good job. So it is going to be this whole thing here, and then this is another term.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that we know the terms, we have to simplify them. But before we go ahead and confuse ourselves, this is a little bit different. Do you see there's a 2 at the end here?
Yes, ma'am.
But it's being multiplied to the bracket. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's there's no sign separating it, which means it's multiplication. So if I said 6 times 7 times 8, and then I go 8 times 7 times 6, are these two questions still going to give me the same answer?
No, ma'am. Yes,
They are.
yes, yes, yes,
They are,
yes.
because remember, with multiplication, it doesn't matter the order in which I multiply. If the numbers are the
Yes,
same,
ma'am.
it's going to give me the same answer. And
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
what I want to tell you to help you here is this is basically saying -1 times the bracket times 2. You with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is the
Yes,
same
ma'am.
thing as saying -1 times 2 times my bracket. Happy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted us to rewrite that. So now you know how to rewrite that to make it make more sense. Now let's go. And I know you were going to tell me to distribute. So now let's distribute.
Yes, ma'am. Uh, ma'am, -2
Mm-hmm.
times 3
Uh-huh.
is 3. 3 is p. -6p.
-6p. Good job.
And then -2 times -4 is positive 8m.
Good job.
And then uh 2 plus 6 is 8p.
Mm-mm. So remember, this -2 has been eliminated basically through our distribution. This was the term on its own. So now that we've
Yes,
simplified
ma'am.
this term, it's the next term that we're simplifying. And my next term is just positive 6p. And can I simplify that anymore?
No, ma'am.
Nope. So I'm just going to bring it down. Happy?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Now what?
Now I think I'm plus my like terms
Mm-hmm.
or
Good
mine.
job. What's like
Yeah.
terms?
Yeah, -6p and positive 6p.
Mm-hmm. Which give me what? What's a -6 plus 6?
It's a positive, eh, positive 6, I think, or 0.
Rose-san, I told you, yes, it's 0. I told you you have 6 sweets. I took away 6 sweets. How many sweets do you have left?
Oh, 0.
0. So what's left is 8. Yeah. Happy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for answering. I hope we're all happy with that. Yes, and I see Brie and Shady gave me the correct answer there. It's 0.